Hello, welcome to Spotlight on Souris. My name is Laura Higgs. Today is May 17th, 2023, and I have with me today Kris Doull and Ramona Taylor, who are here to speak to us about the Victoria Park Junction. Welcome, guys.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Good. All right, so where did the idea for the project come from?
Well, the idea came from a trip that I had with my family into Winnipeg. And so we were down at the Forks, and we went to the Common and picked up a beverage there and just went down to the grass area. And as we were watching all the people go by and all the people enjoying the Forks, started wondering what made the Forks such an important and exciting place. And you started looking and, you figured out that the Assiniboine River runs into the Red River. And that's really, the name of the Forks and I think how its popularity came about. So
Right.
I got home and started thinking about it and I go, where's another area in Souris that is very similar where one river runs into another. So the Plum Creek runs into the Souris River. So that's where the idea came from. And then the area that's certainly just to the south of the creek is an open area that has always been a gathering place. And that's where the idea came from, is that we could somewhat create a mini Forks.
Mm-hmm. That's the area you're talking about where people stand and fish on that side of that, the south side of that Plum Creek. And there used to be a swimming hole in the old days. Wasn't there not far from that?
There was.
If I'm my understanding that right? Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah. That was before
But
my
I have
time.
pictures,
So
so we've seen mine too,
Yeah.
my time.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So that's the area we're talking about. Okay. So who is on the committee?
Yeah, so, once, with the idea came, well, I have to find out where there's some like-minded people that have that same kind of, vision of what I saw. So I end up asking Ramona and a number of others to just kind of meet me on the bridge. And we looked at that area and I explained kind of my vision. And before, I said, you can go home and think about this for a while. And every one of them, before they left the bridge, said, we're interested.
Oh,
And we're interested in being on the committee.
And we were standing on the Iron Bridge, and the vantage point from the Iron Bridge across to the area, it's a beautiful sight, and the vantage point was so perfect that Kris sold his idea on.
great.
Yeah.
And that's before you went to any officials
That's right.
and asked
Right.
permission for promoting the idea, right? You
Right.
you had that come up with it and got a group of people first off.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and so on the committee, as you asked before,
Mhm.
there's myself as the chair right now. Dave McGregor is our secretary, and Shelley Nepanak is our treasurer. But we also have Penny Gilson, Dana Black, Ramona, and Helena Gillis, and Debbie Sherritt. And then Carol Williams is kind of like an ex officio member
Okay.
from Parks and Rec.
Okay.
So that's our committee.
Well, you've got a good group of people, actually. Okay. So when did you start the planning of the project?
Well, we started so I think we were just talking, we were on the bridge maybe in May, so we started in June. And the first thing we did is we went to Parks and Rec and said, before we go ahead with anything, we need some kind of approval to say, you can start. So we went to Parks and Recreation and actually the town council just to pitch the idea, and they said, go ahead. So that was kind of our kickoff to get going. We took probably another 3 months just to talk about the background of the project, what we considered our vision for the project. We developed some guiding principles, and I think those are kind of important to mention too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. And so your vision?
Yeah, so our vision is to enhance this area as a year-round gathering place outdoors.
Year-round.
Year-round, you
Okay.
bet, summer and winter, near the river where there is space for community family events, opportunities for recreation and cultural activities, mini Forks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, very much so. Okay.
The other part that's really important is our guiding principles. So we established 5 guiding principles, the committee did, and it's basically every decision we make has to follow those guiding principles.
Right.
So we don't want to get off track in creating something that, because there's maybe this opportunity comes by, if it doesn't meet the guiding principles, then we don't want to go there. So
Right.
our guiding principles are,
Okay.
it must be feasible. So this project has to have minimal impact on Parks and Rec's operating budget. We want to make sure that there's thorough community consultation. So we're going to talk to the community, and we'll talk about that too later. That it's fully accessible, so wheelchairs, anybody can use the park. From toddlers, to seniors. The area has to be flood resistant. I think we called it rebound from a flood situation, and that's important. We know in 2011, 2014, that place was underwater.
Absolutely.
So anything we build down there, really, we don't want to have to replace that structure. So everything's pretty much on ground.
Which is probably one of the largest challenges in many ways, is making it flood resistant or easily cleaned up, I guess, is kind of part of that.
Yeah, for sure.
And the last one is we just want to be certainly respectful for nearby property owners and then the natural surroundings. So again, we don't want to change this to an urban jungle. We want to keep it as a natural, in a natural setting, for sure.
Okay. All right. So what is your relationship then with the Souris Glenwood Parks and Recreation and the Municipal Council?
Yeah, and so as you know, Laura, the Parks and Recreation look after the park. They're responsible for maintaining and operating it. So we are responsible to them directly. So we're kind of a subcommittee under them that any decision that's made in the end has to go back to the Parks and Recreation and probably ultimately the council for final decisions. So we're not going to go down there and start ripping up turf without their approval.
Right, for sure, for sure. They are ultimately responsible for that area, so they have to be in on the decision-making and the plan, for sure. Okay, the name of your committee is the Victoria Park Junction Enhancement Committee, right? Can you tell me where that name came from?
Sure.
So it's sort of a long name because we haven't got it any shorter than that just yet. But I think the two words in there that are really important is the junction, as Kris alluded to, the junction of Plum Creek and the Souris River. One of the old photos we found, we don't know what date it is, it's prior to the new iron bridge, so prior to 1959. It's a picture of some people swimming in a kayak or a canoe in the water. Beautiful black and white photograph, and at the bottom of that it reads the junction of the Plum and the Souris. So reading that, you just sort of,
History picked your name.
Yes.
For sure.
And then we wanted it to be, the word enhancement to be used because we want to enhance what's already there. We don't necessarily, need to reinvent the wheel. We want to enhance the beauty of the space that's there. So,
and keeping it park-like. And keeping it, because it's near a kid's park, and it's also near the campground, and it's also near, where people picnic and stuff, so it's going to be a park still.
That's right, a meeting place that is really inviting to, people to come, those of us that live here, and then those of us, many, many people that come here to visit, that it's a bit of a destination. So that's
Very
kind
nice.
of where that came from.
So who designed the concept plan for the junction?
We interviewed, starting last fall, late fall, 3 different landscape firms, and they kind of gave their pitches to us, and ultimately we went with Alternative Landscaping out of Brandon, and they have developed the concept design. It took, for Alternative, about 6 months of back and forth, 4 different designs that they built and we looked at till we came up with one that we feel we want to present to the community.
Okay.
It was a lot of back and forth.
So is the concept plan available to the community for them to see?
Yeah, actually, it's Alternative Landscaping created a flyby video of our concept plan, and actually you can find it on the municipality or on the Souris and Glenwood website. But we actually brought it along, and we want to show it to you now.
Absolutely.
So the picture you see here, Laura, is is really the start of it. So you can see that the Plum Creek is in the bottom here, and obviously the Plum Creek runs into the Souris River. So you'll see the road on the right-hand side. That is the road that comes across the bridge, you know, over at Kirkup's house is on the far left, coming across the bridge, and then the playground would be in the top right of the picture.
Okay.
So we'll start it up here and we'll explain it as we go. So you'll see that some of the important features, we have several gathering and eating patios. So what we have is the first, you can see on your left here, is more of a sitting. So with the rapids under the bridge, we feel that's a really nice place just to be able to sit and kind of a natural reflection kind of area. The next area is our park entrance wall. So what we plan there is a fairly large wall with historical information. So we're looking at a research project on Victoria Park that we would present on that wall, as well as our donor wall. And on the other side of that wall, you'll see a small stage. We'll see it a little bit better as we go. The little pad that's right in front of you is what we call our pop-up food and vendor pad. So we're hoping that, you know, pop-up vendors will come in and can serve off of that pad on you know, occasions that come up. You will see that all the way, you know, meandering through the park along the river and the creek, there is a walking path. So that is certainly goes around the whole area. The little pad on the right-hand side is our second pad. So again, a sitting area that's close to the boat dock. You'll see we've kind of enhanced the boat dock area to include places to park boats, as well as kayak launches and canoe launches. So now you get out. Nowadays you kind of get out into the water. So this will be certainly an enhancement for that part. As we move around, you will see that there's, you know, the wall is a little bit higher. So there's a wall, and basically we're trying to raise the whole area about 2 feet.
Yes.
So for flood mitigation kind of problems, that whole area will go up 2 feet. The pad that you're looking at now is more of an open pad. We haven't really designed the whole concept, but we're thinking about Adirondack chairs, benches, tables that people could use to sit. This is kind of what we think is our feature. This is the fishing area you talked about. So it steps down to the water, and again, is another sitting area. But we think that's a real feature that families can go and fish off of there, as well as sit and watch the water. As we move along, you'll notice lots of benches on the pathway that again you can sit and use. You'll see quickly there's 5 pods there. So those would be family pods that you could certainly sit and have a picnic.
See lots of light structures, light standards too.
Yeah, it's something we still certainly haven't made a final decision on about lighting. We want to be, again, respectful of the neighbors, whether across the river or across the creek. So that's certainly something we're still working through.
But safety.
Very much, yeah, safety, yeah.
Yep.
So our video is going to kind of go around again. It's going to show you the inside of that. So we'll just let it play through here.
I think one of the things, again, to emphasize is that the pathways that you see around are fully accessible. They're wide enough for wheelchairs to travel on them and meet one another.
And groups to pass each other so they don't have to step out in the traffic.
Exactly, right, yeah. Which I think is a really important part of the focus, is that, you know, a person in a wheelchair or a scooter can access all of it.
For sure.
You'll see a better view of the kind of the stage area.
Yeah.
So we like to have a little stage. So summer performances, buskers, we could use that for just about anything. Again, that's the pad for the food vendors.
Open, yeah.
And we've talked about things And again, the circular pads could have potential to be an outdoor classroom if someone wanted to do an art class, for instance. Like the possibilities are really unlimited.
Absolutely.
For things such as that we have talked about in our group. Feels like a place for yoga, things such as that.
Yeah. It certainly looks like a bigger area than what I envisioned down there already. You know, I know the area fairly well. We have had yoga classes actually down right in that area.
Yeah.
But with building it up and stretching it out by a few feet, that would make a difference. Certainly building it up and making it more even.
Mm-hmm.
That looks like a great place for outdoor theater.
Yeah, it certainly does. And, when you're down there kayaking, people sit there now and watch the kayakers and the boats go by. So I think that'll be a well-used area for people that really like to see the boats and kayaks.
I think for our seniors, have a place that they can access, sit in the sun, sit in the shade, and just watch kids play, people boat. To me, it's just such a great asset.
Mm-hmm. And not hard to get to because they come from like the main street, which has been fixed up, down the hill past the museums, and right into through over the metal bridge, the sidewalk there, and into the park. They don't have to go through the gravel road and fight the traffic coming through the actual park itself, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
And you said it was alternative, that is your,
Alternative landscaping.
and they developed this video for you?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They've been really
Well
good
done.
to work with. You know, we've as Ramona said, we went back for 2 or 3 and then a 4th concept, and they kind of promised us 3 at the start, but gave us an extra one at the end. So they've been really good to work with. Yeah.
And the details in the video, such as the peacock's noise in the background, they know our community. They did their homework.
Again, I'm kind of flying by these little pods that are family pods for family picnics, lots of shade. There will certainly have to be some trees planted in this area. There's no doubt about that.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and that's the video.
Great. Okay. Okay. Okay, then we'll start from here. Mark will edit some of this out.
Okay.
Has your committee been given a cost for the project?
At this point, we don't have a firm price. There's so many decisions that still really need to be made about the concept, design, the type of material, what will or won't be in the design. So we don't have an actual cost yet, but we are certainly looking at some kind of realistic fundraising goal at $1 million to get either the project done or phase 1. So this may be a phase project as we go. We're going to see how we do. But
Sure.
I think we're going to have to make some decisions about the types of material, how much we want to get done, the whole project or phase. So we're kind of setting $1 million as a target for fundraising, and we'll kind of go from there.
Sure. How are you planning to gather community feedback on this project? That's
Well,
going to be a big job.
You bet, and it's important, so that's really important, and so we got the approval from Parks and Rec and Council to kind of go into that community feedback stage, I guess, so that's what we're doing right now. So far, there's been an article in the Recorder, a really good article in the Recorder that people should read if they haven't. We've also put it on servicemanitoba.com. If you go to the public notices, you can click on that and you'll find a link to us. And on that link, we'll have some information about the project, but it also has the flyby video that we just saw.
That's good.
As well, it'll have a link to a survey. So it's about a 9-question survey that we're asking folks to log in, fill out, and provide some feedback on the project. I think to date, we have 60 surveys already complete, and we just put it up last Thursday, I believe. So that's a good success. We hope to get more as well.
Yes.
The last piece is on June 12th, we're going to have an open house, public open house in the complex up here at 7 o'clock, where people can come in. We'll have some of that feedback from the survey. We'll be able to answer some questions and maybe do a little presentation on it again. But that is really our kind of public consultation. We're going to meet with a couple of organizations to give them a presentation. But if any organization wants us to come and talk to them, we're certainly glad to do that as well.
Absolutely. So what's the next step after you gather all the feedback from the public?
Yeah, and so once we do that, we have to take that concept plan once changed or the way it is, and some costing and a fundraising plan, and take that back to Parks and Recreation and Council. And that's kind of our final approval. And if we get that approval from Parks and Rec or the council or council, then I think we're into the fundraising part. And we'll plan over the summer our fundraising drive, and then hopefully there'll be a fundraising kickoff in September.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then construction, we're looking at the future for construction to begin. Like it's not going to happen as soon as you start your fundraising, right?
No.
Right. So start of construction, it's certainly going to depend on fundraising. So if we get to that target, somewhere around that target, we would really like to start in the spring or the summer of 2024.
Wow.
So we have a pretty aggressive agenda.
Yes, yeah.
But I think we're going to work hard between September and summer of 2024 to raise enough money to get this project kicked off.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Will there be any chance for it to generate revenue?
Not directly, not directly. Typically, parks in a community don't have a direct revenue stream back into the coffers of the community, unlike the Parks and Recreation that have the pool and the rink and things like that. But for sure, we feel that there will be a lot of spin-off inside our community. My experience from being a former business person uptown, I recall on many occasions people coming into our store to get stuff, to go down to the park, to have a picnic, to, it could be their wieners or their whatever, lots of different things. And I'm sure the gas stations and the bakery and the hardware store, because there's always something you forget when you're coming for a picnic. So I think the revenue that this enhancement in our park will create isn't anything that can be measured, but I do feel that it is going to have a significant value
To the community
to our community.
Okay.
On the whole, I think it will draw people to want to live here, to certainly want to come and spend a Saturday or a Sunday afternoon, a weekend or a week in our campground that's adjacent to this. I think the spin-offs, although, as I say, won't be measured, they will be great.
Yeah.
That's my feeling.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So it looks like a great project.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like it's going to be beautiful once we get there. But
We're
it's
pretty excited.
Yeah, it's a tight timeline too.
It
Very
is.
tight timeline, but it looks like you have everything in a row and everything lined up, and you have some really good resources that
Yeah.
you're drawing from. Great. Well, is that it? Did we cover everything, Kris, you think, Ramona?
I think so.
Yeah?
Again, we just want to encourage people to visit the website,
Okay.
fill out the survey. If they have any questions, there's an email address there. They can type in questions and we'll answer them.
Sure.
If they do want a presentation to a community organization, we're willing to come out and do that. So
Sure.
we want to gather that feedback so we can have the best concept plan for sure.
So remind our viewers of the website again that you're
It's
referring to.
servicemanitoba.com, so it's our town's website.
Good.
And you'll have to look in the public notices and you'll find, I think it says Victoria Park Enhancement Survey, I think
Perfect.
is what you'll read.
That's
Yeah.
great. That's great. That'll help our viewers.
And I just think, we'd love to see as many people as we can out with us on June 12th at the public meeting up here in the Kirkuk Lounge
Perfect.
to learn more about it and ask more questions.
Great. And then you'll keep posting that and put it on Service Manitoba Talks, et cetera, as it comes closer to the date?
We will.
Perfect. That's
Yeah,
great.
we will.
Well, thank you so much, guys, for coming in. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us. Thanks, Laura.
Thank you so much for joining us here at Spotlight in Souris. I hope you have a wonderful day.